let's talk about your time in the New York Dolls. You mentioned earlier, you said that Andy said that you stole his dream gig, and I was thinking to myself, you stole everybody's dream gig. Everybody wanted to be Johnny Thunders in the New York Dolls. So, and you got the gig. How did that come about?
There was no audition. There was no cattle call. No, like, David asked a couple of well-respected guitarists that he knew that he was working with in New York. I'm putting the Dolls back together for one gig. He said, who should I call? And everybody told him the same thing. They said, call Conte. Don't call anybody else. He's the right guy. He's got the right look, nose, the hair, Gibsons, Marshalls, you know.
Yeah.
Italian, you know, so like Genzali, you know, Thunders.
Yeah.
So, but it really, you know, he's not a junkie fuck up. So.
Right. He might stick around.
Yeah. So, you know, David called. I actually knew he was going to call because one of the guys who recommended me called and said, Steve, I just gave your number to David Johansen. This guy, Larry Saltzman, great guitar player in New York. Said, just gave your name to David, and also Jimmy Vivino from the Conan show, the Max Weinberg 7.
Yeah.
He gave David my name and number, and they told me, yeah, I gave your number to David. He's going to be calling you. And sure enough, phone rang, and he's like, Steve, it's David Johansen. You know,
that's pretty good.
To, you know, meet up. And so we went. We had lunch, and we only talked. We just gabbed for an hour.
David Johansen eats.
What's that? Yeah, he actually eats.
He eats.
I think he had half a cantaloupe, and I don't remember what I had, but I remember there was cantaloupe involved.
Okay.
And it was at a place called the Cosmic Coffee Shop, which was around the corner from where he was living on the Upper West Side. And yeah, after an hour of chatting, he went, well, I took the liberty of making this, you know, and he threw this envelope on the table. I took the liberty of making this package for you. It's got CDs and charts and, you know, what do you think? You want to do this gig? And I was like, hell yeah. So we thought it was one gig at the Royal Festival Hall. And we walked outside the restaurant, and all of a sudden there were like all these music people just like happened to be walking towards the diner there, and they saw me and David Johansen. They're like, what's going on here? I was like, you know, and speculation started, you know, brewing, and the next thing I knew, you know, it was out there, you know.
Yeah.
The guy, and he never even heard a note of my play. Well, he probably researched me on the internet. He probably like looked at YouTube and listened to my records, and okay, the guy can play. You know?
Or he just saw the nose and the hair.
Yeah. Well, I think it had a lot to do with the personality because we talked for quite a while, and you know.
No, obviously, you're a capable musician.
But it is true. You can creep on anybody now.
Yeah, I know you could.
What do you mean by that?
So anybody can go, oh, so-and-so, and go look you up and watch videos. Find out where you live and all that shit.
Creep, stalk,
Creep, yeah.
So I remember the Dolls play. I'm in Austin, Texas. Jason is right outside of Austin. So we're in Austin, Texas. I remember you played South by Southwest at Stubbs, I think.
Love that town. Love that place.
And it was...
I made my first record there in 1989, Company of Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you made that in Austin?
Mercury. Yeah, we recorded in Austin at Studio D, which was where the Georgia Satellites recorded their stuff, and I used Rick's and Dan's high watts and Marshalls, and we used their producer, and it was a whole Company of Wolves and
cool.
Georgia Satellites.
I might have that record around here somewhere.
Had no idea.
You have a few behind you.
Yeah, well, the landfill behind me. Yeah, no, the good shit's over there somewhere.
But I remember that gig. It was like the buzzed about show in town, and you know, so me and my buddies, we went and we saw you, and it was amazing.
That would have been in San Antonio, or did you see it here, Dave?
I saw it here at Stubbs.
Oh, cool. The Dolls. The Dolls.
Yeah, that's when David said, is that the very first one where David said, we're looking for a record deal on stage?
I think so. Yeah.
And Yeah, I think we played a couple of new songs because we had just started writing songs. We played one of mine called "Punishing World."
Yeah, yeah, and of course you had Sammy Yaffa in the
Yeah.
band. So when you first joined the Dolls, did you play that first gig with Arthur Kane?
Yes.
Okay, so you did.
Yeah. When I joined the Dolls, it was me, Arthur, David, Sylvain, and Brian Delaney, and Brian Coonan, who was David's like musical director from his Buster Poindexter days. He was really a guitar player, but David put him on keyboards because he also played piano. He had him there just kind of to be the musical director in case, you know, things went wrong.
Yeah.
But we didn't really need him because, everybody was good enough. And
Well, you
then,
did.
and then we ended up, having a completely different lineup for we had a different drummer for the Morrissey shows in London. We had Gary Powell from the Libertines on drums. And then when we came back to the States, Brian Delaney rejoined the band. But
Yeah.
Arthur was there from day one. And, I told him the story of how the Dolls' first drummer, Billy Murcia, the story of how he died
Yeah.
before the band even came out. He died in a bathtub,
In England, right?
anthrax, and he like drowned or something. And I think people tried to pour coffee down his throat and he drowned from the coffee or something. But anyway, I told Arthur that Billy's family moved into my town in New Jersey where I was grown up. And this guy, Alphonse Mercia, used to follow me around going, "Hey, man, you look like Johnny Thunders." I'd be like, "Who?" I was a kid. He was like, "Johnny Thunders, New York Dolls, Heartbreakers." I had no idea. So he brought all the records over to my house. Sylvain, the Criminals, Thunders, the Heartbreakers, the Dolls. He brought the Bowie album, Aladdin Sane, where Bowie talks about Billy Doll on the album. And so, like, I grew up with this guy, the brother of the Dolls drummer. And I told Arthur this, and Arthur was like, "It's fate that you're in this band."
Wow.
He was such a great guy, man.
Man, that is crazy.
Yeah.
That
And,
is crazy.
25 years or whatever, 15 years later after, that
Yeah.
whatever it was, Dave Johansen called me. It was like, this is freaky.
So obviously it lasted more than a gig. You did 2 albums or 3 albums? 4. Is there a live
Yeah, there's
album?
2 live albums. There's the one from Royal Festival Hall with Arthur, which is
Okay.
on DVD. That's called Morrissey Presents The Return of the New York Dolls. Then there is the Pink album, One Day It Will Please Us. Then there's 'Cause I Said So.
Yeah.
Oh, before 'Cause I Said So, we did a live at the Fillmore East.
Okay. Yeah.
And 'Cause I Said So. So 2 live albums, 2 studio albums.